Yo. When I say yo, you say sup. Yo. Yo. All right, I'm bombing. Okay. Hi, I'm Fred Toimer. I am the CIO at Grove. How many people, Leif asked, did you use AI? How many people have used AI and said, this is total slop? I see some hands. Okay, you'll get there, right? We've all seen it. And how many people create on LinkedIn, on X, and how many people are monetized on those platforms? Okay, not a couple. Okay, so if you're one of those who's not monetized, this is a path forward. So Grove, humans need to create fresh content so that AI does not collapse on itself and start to just spew slop. AI, and there's many studies that have been done by some of these AI companies, but if it feeds on its own output, it actually starts to degrade. So it needs fresh human content in order to stay relevant and just high quality. So Grove is here to solve that problem. How do we solve that problem? We are curating content and data, and instead of using the traditional metrics that quantify or qualify that data, such as views or likes or subscribes, we're using payments as the edges on the graph, on that data graph. So the theory here is that paid content is better than unpaid content. And we all know that metrics such as views or likes are easily botable in today's day and age, especially with AI. All right, so who's the market? Basically, our product is live. We went live in November. If you create anywhere on any platform, you can sign up on Grove today and start earning. So if you've ever posted, about your industry or about your job or, just your thoughts on something, you can monetize today on Grove. Right now, our kind of target to get off the ground, given our background, is people who are influencers in the crypto and kind of payment spaces, if that makes sense. I'll get into this. I know that people just heard crypto and they're like, oh, we'll get into that. But under the hood, actually, Grove is a crypto application. And there are many users in this room who have probably heard of Polymarket. I don't know if you know this, but Polymarket's a crypto app too. So it's a real thing. Basically, the way that it works is humans come in, they pay for the content via Grove through micro tips and micro payments. And that kind of seeds our graph. It says, hey, this is a high quality piece of content. This also is built as an AI first product. So you are not only enabled to be paid by humans, but also to Juan's point, OpenClaw workshop. OpenClaw pays for content too. So you can get paid and tipped instantly with AI. And through each one of those payments, we are going to turn that into a data set that we hope to use as post-training data with the Frontier Labs. Okay, so right now, and what are our business models? How do we make money? Well, traditional payment processor method is the one that we've launched without the gate. So we are taking a 10% cut of payments that come through our platform. If you contrast this against things like Twitch or YouTube, they're taking 30, 40, 50% of creator revenue off the top. So we are much more competitive, and we kind of line up with the things like Buy Me a Coffee or Patreon in that regard. From there are quite a few different business models. One is we can earn on float. For crypto native users, we can handle crypto conversions and take swap fees on that. And as time goes on, we can do things like tax and compliance subscriptions through the platform. So we can build, additional tooling to say, hey, I'm Anthropic and I went on the whole internet and I trained off of somebody in this room's data. I need to leave behind some form of payment so that I don't end up back in court like they already have for 9 figures or more. All right, why does this work now? Coinbase introduced X402, which if you're familiar with tech, HTTP code 404, well, there's 402, that means payment required. That's been around since the dawn of the internet. But X402 is a micropayments and agentic first payment processor or payment backend designed to, bar agent access to things. There's also big pressure on these AI frontier labs from just kind of chugging down and taking everybody's data. So, NVIDIA's in a lawsuit, Anthropic's been in a lawsuit, OpenAI has been in a lawsuit. So regulation might be coming. We won't bet on that, but it's cheaper on the front end probably for them to leave micropayments and not have to deal with the legal after. And then lastly, these content platforms are moving towards these stablecoin backends. And YouTube and Rumble, most specifically, very recently have moved to stablecoin payments. All right, so what we've built, our profiles are live, our extension's live. If you have the extension, it will be native in your experience. As you scroll Twitter, you can see that big green tip button on there. That appears on all the platforms that we support, which is most of them. What is our ask? We are asking for $5 million. Our team is very, very small. And we are all engineers by trade, so we are looking for people to help us grow. We are looking for marketing and BD efforts specifically, and we also might grow our engineering team as that arises. Our team, really quickly, we are the former builders and maintainers of Pocket Network, which is a custom layer 1 blockchain. We are 3 people. We are AI focused. The company used to be 80. We're 3 now. Thank you, AI, and that's all my time.
So, yeah, no, I thought this was really good. Thank you very much for kind of putting it out there. And this kind of stuff is more in my wheelhouse more than anything else. And so I appreciate that. I think one of the things I most liked, and this is just important as people think about it, is, as investors, as particularly tech investors, we're looking for unfair advantages. And people talk about disruptive things. And what does that mean? But it really means is there's something, why now, right? There's something that has changed. And at the end of the day, whether I ask the question or not, I'm thinking, okay, what has changed in the last 5, 10 years of why this should happen? Or is it just the founders just discovered this is something they want to do? Because I need unfair advantages when I invest $1, that dollar is going to turn to 2 or 3, versus go through the same slog, or versus have to compete with some big established company that's already entrenched. And I think you did a really good job of having a slide there, which I value a lot more than macro opportunity slides, of what technological or legal things have changed in really recent history. That means as a small team, you all can out-hustle a big company in a more clever way. As an investor, particularly a tech investor, that's it. That's the name of the game, right?
Thank you.
So I do like that. Some of the, all the other things, there's always questions when it comes into, and this requires more digging into, is the challenges of, is it a two-sided marketplace where you have your tipping and your receiving, which they work when both sides are kind of built up, but sometimes they're really, really, really hard to get started.
Yep.
That's not something where I would poo-poo it. It's just something I would really dig into, explore.
Yeah.
I would want to understand more. I think.
I can comment on that really.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So Pocket Network is a two-sided marketplace of providers of blockchain infrastructure and needers of blockchain RPC and data access. So we are not new to this cold start problem, and we're attacking it the same way we did with Pocket, is that we are pushing very hard to seed the supply. And the beautiful thing about this is that when you talk about content creators, when them as suppliers, they bring the demand with them because they direct their audience to this platform and say, hey, I'm now taking payments on Patreon, I'm taking payments on Grove. And so that's kind of our attack plan, and we've kind of been through this 0 to 1 before.
No, that's good. So I think the things, and I know you got cut off a bit on time, is at the end of the day, we are pattern matchers. And so we're like, hey, have you been successful with something like this before, or kinda, and you guys are back at it with learned lessons, and this can be even bigger and better and whatever. And so I think with more time, really realizing that, yeah, we might kind of sort of understand the tech, but we're really interested in following the people.
Yeah.
And if you could show this team or you all or some fraction of the team has been successful or at some level and you're looking to build from that, that's really, really valuable.
Sure.
So Yeah, no, oh, and I think the last bit in terms of the funding part, obviously there's more there. $5 million is $5 million, is that your first funding out of the gate? Is there like a path there? Is that sometimes it doesn't necessarily make sense. It makes sense sometimes to start with smaller checks, but the devil's in the details. And so again, not a lot of time. I don't know if you have a second to comment on why five or
on both of those things. Yeah, so first to kind of the proven track record, I would point to Pocket as well. It's a $30 million, once $150 million valuation blockchain. From the content creator, we know kind of what these people need because the genesis of this problem came from Olshansky, my partner. He's a prolific tech writer on Substack, and ChatGPT started recommending people to his Substack where he was gaining subscribers from. So we saw that and we're like, okay, AI is already making content recommendations. And myself, I have a prior life as a semi-pro gamer and Twitch streamer, so that's a long time ago, but I know a little bit about the space. To your question about the raise, Grove is a storied company. It's been around for several years, and it previously raised $8 million on a safe note at $20 million post-money. I can talk more about that, but that was for Pocket Network. And we are doing right by our investors we pivoted the company in November of last year and came out with this product. So this is a new raise on a new idea, and we chose to do the right thing by our investors and bring them with us instead of going out and launching new co and kind of, scuttling the capital from the previous entity.
Yeah, obviously pros and cons with that as a new investor. There's a lot there, and there's a lot of good things there. I think the challenge in your presentation, which is a good one, is figuring out what bits are you going to pull out to whet the appetite of the investor so that they keep on digging into it. So, all right, thank you.
So before I make this comment, I'm going to say I go out and have to raise money for these funds, and so I'm at fault of doing this too. And so I'm going to make a comment on this, which is you got to meet your investor where they are. And I know a lot about the VC space, but the potential investors I'm talking to might not. You obviously know this space really, really well. And so one thing I would like to see is for you to identify the stakeholders and call them by consistent names as you go. So who are the stakeholders that are involved? So for me, for example, I might call our investors limited partners, but then call them investors, and then I call them two different things, and I confuse people, right, as I go along when I'm making my pitch. So what I would encourage you to do is try to define the stakeholders that are part of the business. So the creators, and then maybe the brands that are paying or the AIs that are coming and paying for this content, and then keep it consistent as you mention them throughout the presentation, right? And then I would say, once you do that, there's somebody that is you're going to create the most value for at the beginning. So who are you creating the most value for at the beginning, and explain that use case. So I'm going to ask you and let you articulate it. You are providing the most value first for the creator, am I right on that? Yes. And then maybe take them through, if you can just give a couple sentences, maybe take them through and just use the creator as the example of the value you're providing, and then when the other stakeholders come in.
Yep, I'm going to try to use consistent language. That's great feedback,
yeah.
By the way, so thank you.
The way that we think about this is we're trying to bring in a platform agnostic, creator first platform. And the way that we bootstrap that is with human to human payments. So I'm a viewer or I'm a consumer of content and I'm paying a content creator. That begets the A2H payments, which we call agent to human payments, because they're going to look and see, this is high viewed content, I'm going to refer it, which then begets the A2A payments, which is where we say, okay, agents from Frontier Lab, who's crawling the internet, is going to come in and purchase this data set to say, okay, now tell me on a map which creators I should point at and refer to in each category.
So just right there, I think you clearly articulated multiple stakeholders in an order, a sequence of who you're providing value to first, and the follow-on value that you're creating for the other stakeholders in a consistent way. So that was very helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would echo that. I mean, similar thoughts that were going through my mind, that they both represented something that was excited to me is a real clear monetization opportunity. I mean, the icon, I can see that and I get that. So even if I'm struggling to follow principally because I haven't been a gamer or haven't been on Twitch or some of these things, I like that. What are there clear add-on opportunities for monetization, like promoting placement, boosting views, visibility? Are you thinking about that?
Yeah, the way that we think about this is that this is a platform to enable creators to earn anywhere, earn instantly, and keep more of what they earn. So creators, if you look at them, they post not on just one platform, right? They're monetized across a broad spectrum. So for this, this is just an and to them. Just one more thing that they list in the bio on Instagram or YouTube. They say, hey, check out my Grove. And the cool thing that we really emphasize is you don't need a subscriber count like you do on YouTube. You don't need a certain consistent viewership on Twitch. You don't need impressions on X. You can earn immediately for if you have one banger post on X, you can start getting earnings from that immediately, and then keep more of what you earn. We have a very competitive rate thanks to stable coins. They're fractions of a percent, whereas these processors take 5+.
And then last question was just around the customer acquisition. What is your moat? And what is going to give defensibility to this? Because it sounds like there's the tipping platforms are growing. This concept is growing. So what's going to be your differentiator and is first to market critical in this lane?
Yeah. The way that we think about this is every time a payment goes, it grows our data graph in the background. So we become experts on content as a whole every time we get a payment on any of these graphs. And so every tip builds and widens our moat. That's the way we think about it.
Just for folks that are trying to raise money in the room, you had mentioned the regulatory aspect. You're like, hey, we're not going to bank on that, but there could be something there. I think it's okay for entrepreneurs to pitch their story where there's a couple of inflection points along the way that could change the overall opportunity. So the small win might be, hey, we figure out the acquisition costs for your creators. We're able to monetize those through micropayments. The big win might come once we already have this established business and acquisition cost. Now there's a regulatory change at some point that requires payment from some of these AI companies that are currently getting sued, right? And so now it's like, hey, we got this runway that we have here, and if this hits, now all of a sudden that's where it's the, we would call it the fund returning opportunity, right? The IPO, the unicorn opportunity. And so taking your investors along the journey of when those inflection points happen, and the further out, the less likely they are to happen, right? But it's okay. I mean, investors, they know they're taking a risk on these things. So I think that's okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the feedback.
Yeah.